Welcome to the Secrets Women Keep podcast. I am your secret keeper and confidant, Lauren White. I'm a qualified counsellor and sexologist, madam of a secret society, author of Permission, and a witty, highly intuitive lounge room dancing introvert. I help you as an exceptional woman in entrepreneurship to see, love, and trust all the parts of yourself, especially the unseen. Let's pull back the curtain, light the candelabra, and remove the mask. These are the secrets women keep. Hello, and welcome to the Secrets Women Keep podcast. I'm your host and confidant, Lauren White, and today we have a very unique 1 in 7 billion kind of guest. Her name is Suzy Ashworth. She's a mum of 3, 7-figure serial entrepreneur, Hay House author, keynote speaker, host of the Limitless Life Experience podcast, and transformational and embodiment coach. Suzy helps female entrepreneurs create 6-figure breakthroughs in their business and make quantum leaps in their personal lives through the pillars of self, wealth, spirit, and impact via her group program, The Freedom Experience, high-level mastermind Illuminate, and sold out one-to-one. Adding to that, it's her mission to impact 1 million women through her work by 2023. She's one of those rare gems that's both magnetic and radiant. And just a word of warning, once you're in her world, there's a high probability you'll be Suzified. She's a fellow Libran and word of affirmation lover. I adore her, I love her deeply, and I'm fortunate enough to call her my mentor. Suzy, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And outside of the bio that I prepared, me personally, but the team, thank you for just, your love and kindness. And I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you so much. So much has changed for me since I entered your orb, and I still think back to the day that I saw one post in your stories that said, "Are you ready for, a 6-figure breakthrough?" And something in me just said, "Right back to her." And so started our relationship, and I just love how you held me and coached me and shone a light on all of the truths that I didn't want to see. And you're an absolute seer of women, and I just think it's such a gift. Such a gift. So, Suzy, here on the podcast, we get pretty deep kind of quickly. I like the deep conversations in life. Small talk doesn't really do it for me. So I want to start by asking you about the bathroom stall moments in life. Now, I define the bathroom stall moment as one in which you're trying to hold it all together as everything else feels like it's falling apart. You want to be seen and simultaneously invisible. Have you ever had a bathroom stall moment in your life? And feel free to substitute with car or office stall. And can you share it with us?
Yeah, a trillion. I've had many, many, many. The one that came up as you were just explaining was around, I think must have been my 33rd birthday. And I had given birth to my son almost 10 years ago. So I'd given birth to my son, and up until that point in my life, it had very much been all about me. And I would have a birthday month, and, I would have at least 3 or 4 parties, and, I was the center of everything. And after I had him, that was no longer the case. And I remember feeling really unseen. I really felt that my husband didn't see me, my sister didn't see me. I felt very isolated and alone, I think, probably for the first time maybe the first time in my adult life. And I remember wanting to be heard. And I remember reaching out to my husband and saying, I don't feel great, and just not getting the response that I had wanted, because not only had it all been about me, but up until that point, that I'm always the positive one, I'm always the upbeat one, I'm always the strong one. And so when I do display weakness or vulnerability, or at least back then, it made people feel uncomfortable. They didn't really know what to do with it. And probably, when I take full responsibility, the communication of my vulnerability probably wasn't helpful either. I wanted people to know that I needed to be held and I needed to be seen and supported. And I probably wasn't very good at communicating that in a way that could be received. And so, yeah, I remember I didn't have postnatal depression, but I just remember feeling like not myself.
Hmm. 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 And what do you think, if you could go back now and say to your sister, say to Jerome, what advice would you give them as to the ways that they could have held you through that moment in time?
Oh, good question. I don't know whether I would give them any advice. I think probably I would give myself the advice. And that advice would be to not wait, because this had been building up, and to not wait until you feel like crap to ask somebody for help.
Oh, yeah.
Reach out when you're not feeling good. And I think the other thing is just know, and this applies to every season of life, that things change and you change. And trying to hold on to what was, or expect things to be the same as they were before evolution happened, is a real fast ticket to nowhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. And so I think that there was the advice would be around acceptance of newness and change, and being okay with not being the strong one, the positive one, the upbeat one all of the time, and understanding that when that is the role that you play, sometimes it's going to require you to speak a little bit more deeply, more impactfully, more from the heart when you do need that support, because people might miss it. And that's not their fault. That's just the game that you have been playing.
Yeah. Okay, I feel like I'm putting some pieces together just as you're listening. Are you saying, when you say speak more from the heart, are you saying that at other times when strong people are feeling vulnerable and trying to communicate that to significant others in their life, are you saying that it tends to maybe more come from the head or more come from a strategic place than, like, it can lose its depth in a way? Whereas, yeah,
I think depending on where you've come from, what your experiences are, they're all different. But for me as an individual, and this is something that I've only learnt over the last couple of years, is that I put barriers up around my heart from a very young age, because I got let down. And so that my strength and positivity and all of that acted as a barrier, as protection. And so I think that it's hard for people to, for me to let people in, right into the center. And so if you want then people to help and support you and love you in the way that you want to be loved, then you have to let those barriers down.
Yeah. And have you been able to let those barriers down in recent years?
I think that I've got better at knowing myself. And in that knowing of I think you can't let other people in until you go in. It's like, love me. But if you're hiding and locking bits away of yourself, then you can't get that depth. And so I think that I have got better at, I have a much better awareness of myself and a much deeper acceptance of myself, more love, more compassion for myself. And I think that that makes me an easier person to be around and love and support.
Yeah.
Not the easiest, but it definitely makes it easier.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it still.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that. Just going back to your experience, do you think that there was a sense of necessity of you feeling that isolation and that loneliness at that point in time? Was there something that you learned about yourself or some sort of gold that came through that, even though what you actually wanted was to be held, to be seen, to be heard?
I think that every situation is useful. And so whilst, as we're sitting here now, I'm like, it wasn't this is the moment. You know, I've got lots of negative stories where very clearly that was the moment that I learned something profound. I wouldn't say that in that moment I had that aha, but you know, the reason why we're talking about this now is that I was learning that I needed more from myself and from others, and that was a moment in time where that awareness was ignited.
Yeah. Now, I was lucky enough to attend the One Live in January. It's your 3-day annual event to get women juiced up for the year. That's what I call it. It's the event to get women juiced up for the year. And you graciously weaved in aspects of your own story to connect with us all on the theme of wealth in particular. You went on to share that you were adopted at 3 months old to your gorgeous, incredible working class parents. You grew up observing that if you wanted something, you could get it, but you had to work really hard. And that even though you got what you needed, the message you received is that money doesn't come easily. You went on to say there would be just enough to get what I wanted, and I took that with me into work and entrepreneurial endeavors. So, Suzy, what's your secret as to how you finally edged past the just enough mentality and into the complete abundance you preach and practice today?
Can I just say, wow, Lauren, you were like listening. You were taking notes.
Definitely listening. It's my job.
I think that there was one moment quite early on, actually, in my entrepreneurial business that I remember as quite significant when it came to releasing some of that story. And the question that was asked was, are you supported? Do you feel supported? And the way that question was asked was in relation, the context of life. Is life supporting you? And I realized that I was living my life and showing up in my business as though I wasn't being supported. And again, it's that same pattern. So if you think that I had my son when I was 33, I decided that I was going to become an entrepreneur, but I didn't give up I went on maternity leave with my second child 2 years later. That's when I retrained. And then I had another year. So this theme comes back. And so I'm doing this program, and the question is do you feel supported? And I realized that I didn't feel supported. I realized that my attitude was, unless I do everything myself, unless I hold everything myself, nothing is ever going to get done. So it was a real, I can only rely on me. and it's going to be hard work because I can only rely on me. Like, I'm holding all of the plates. And I realized I had this like, oh, and in the next moment, there was an awareness that this was not true. Where that awareness came from, I do not know. You know, I often talk about, we make up stories and we live our life by the stories that we tell ourselves. And we can really start to tell ourselves a new story in a moment. It doesn't need to be true, but we can still live into that story and we can make it true. And in that moment of realizing that I was walking around in life and business, believing that it was all on me, I chose a new story. And the new story was, actually, I am fully supported. And I talk about the presence of my foster parents living in everything that I do. And it was this real awareness, like, they're there, that they are here. If you've got no other guardian angels, if there's nothing else, they are here and with you. And that means that you can let go. That means that you can trust. And letting go and trusting are absolutely foundational pieces when it comes to living into abundance.
Yeah. I actually have a question for you on the note of letting go. Whenever you recommend a book, I get it straight away. I'm like, Suzy reads. I'm like, I'm going to get that straight away. Totally trust your opinion. And one of the books that you recommended was Letting Go by whose name is
Hawkins.
Yes, thank you. And I was wondering, it's an incredible book for anyone who hasn't accessed it. It's a real eye-opener. I know I'm going to go back to it as a reference book again and again and again, because you just can't possibly take it all in the first sitting. I was wondering, what did you take from that book as someone who knows a lot about surrender, letting go? Did that add another layer for you in terms of how you actually embody letting go?
Oh my God, yes. What's really interesting is the first time I picked that book up, it was maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and I decided I didn't like it. And the reason that I decided I didn't like it is because I had stuff that I didn't want to let go of. You know? So the first chapter, I'm just like, God, this guy wanging on, isn't he? You know? God, completely closed. And then the next time I read it, I'm like, holy fucking God, this is blowing my mind and blowing my heart. And I think that, you know, it's just always another layer. It's always another layer. And timing is just really, really important. Because if you are not in the right headspace, it's the same message, same words, same audiobook. I listen to it and I think that that's rubbish. I don't get it. It doesn't resonate with me, you know, and it's true for that moment. 3 years later, totally different headspace. I think it's the most powerful and profound book that I have read in years. And so, you know, it's just another layer of letting go. It's that noticing in the moment. And it's so funny because even this morning, I'm looking at things and I'm feeling into my body, like, where's the contraction? Where do I get to breathe? Where do I get to expand? It's just that letting go. And it's like something that you could just, when you're feeling shame, go to the shame bit, have a look. What are the words? Okay. You know, when you're feeling guilt, what are the words? Okay. You know, you could literally use it. You should use it as a reference book. You should be tuning in and asking yourself, what is it that I'm experiencing in this moment? that I'm resisting, that I am holding on to. Okay, let me go to that bit in the book and let me just hear his words and see what lands.
And I appreciate how you are able to take that and to use the words to inform the action. And for you, what you shared just now was as simple as noticing the contraction in your body and choosing to release through your breath. And it can't be said too many times. As someone who studied human sexuality and did sexological body work and all of these things, the breath, the breath, the breath, the breath, the breath. And even if you know all about the breath, doesn't matter. You still need reminding, come back to the breath, come back to the breath.
Isn't it amazing? I've got goosebumps and we're talking about bloody breathing. It's like we overcomplicate things so much. We are up in our heads. We want to make it difficult. And I'm so glad that you brought the book up, because it's just, for me, the perfect example that it's everything that's what's going on in your head at any given time. How much mess and the judgment of what is going on in your head at any given time will determine your capacity to take the next best step. That's all we really need to do, take the next best step. And the number of times we as individuals get our knickers in a twist, go round and round in circles, bang our head against a brick wall, trying to find the thing. It's like, the thing, you've already got the thing. Take a minute, breathe. What do you intuitively know is the right next step? Sometimes the right next step is asking for support. I think that we also get that a bit twisted. The answer within sometimes is to ask for help. As it was with me 10 years ago. I needed to ask for help, and instead I'm in my head thinking I'm so alone, nobody understands me and everybody's an asshole, and it's like, no. That's the story that you're living into, so that becomes true.
And sometimes in asking for support, you realize that you're answering your own question as well. And that's what I picked up when I was writing my book, Permission. Part of what informed writing that was I started to notice when I was going to people asking things when I already knew what answer I wanted them to say. But I think it's still a helpful exercise to seek support and to lend a voice to what's troubling you and to ask for an ear, because you just never know what's going to be fed back to you and how it's going to facilitate your sense of surrender. It's going to help you feel seen and help you feel heard and reconnected again when the story wants to tell you to go it alone and stay in contraction. And that has cost me so, so dearly. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to work with you, was I knew that I was just playing out the same story of going it alone and being in contraction. And I just want everyone listening to realize that you can simplify it, like Suzy said. You can simply breathe and reach out to one person, and that can be a game changer.
I think when I think about the work that you are doing and expanding into, and even the conversation that we're having in this podcast, it's so imperative that you have people who can ask you great questions. And so the support piece is a real balance between disempowering yourself and believing that you don't have any of the answers. That's not a great way to ask for support. And then going to people who are mentors, you say confidants, and being able to ask a question or have them ask you a question. Them ask you a question that immediately makes you think in a different way. And that's what was happening in that program. Like, do you feel like you are supported or not? It was a DIY course. It wasn't even a mentor. But the woman who asked the question, she changed my life in that moment, because I realized that I could change the story to I am fully supported.
Incredible, incredible. Just the power of words and the words and their meaning meeting you at the point that you're most receptive to them.
Yeah.
So incredibly powerful. And I think one of the most, there's a lot of Suzy quotes in today's podcast, but one of the earliest things that you ask us, and you ask us again over time, is what am I no longer available for? And it's so, the language is so simple, but the word available, it's like, where has that been in my life? Where has that been in my lexicon? And it's not, what are your boundaries, which other people ask, or, I don't know. I feel like there's a certain dialogue out there and it gets a little bit overused and then it's less impactful. But what am I no longer available for? Just asking questions like that and can be incredible, like you said, life-changing.
I think that every time we're up leveling, every time we want to make a shift, every time we want to make a change in our life or in our business, we have to ask ourselves that question. And I think that when we get really honest with ourselves, the answers that come up that are required for you to live into when you do want to make a quantum shift, because I think that we talk about quantum shifts and quantum leaps and people think that they're sexy, and I think that they can be sexy, but what is required of you to make a quantum leap or shift in your life is quantum expansion. And in order for you to have the space for quantum expansion, you have to release a lot of shit, a lot of stories, sometimes people, sometimes clients, sometimes overpricing. All of these things have to go. And what happens is that we have this fight with our ego saying it is unsafe for you to go in this direction. It is not safe for you to let go of that. You are about to make a big mistake. You need to slow down. You need to put the brakes on. Let's just check out what the fuck you're doing. And most people think that they want the quantum lift, the quantum shift.
It's a quantum lift. We're going to hashtag and trademark that one.
The quantum lift. Most people think they want the quantum shift, but they don't want to make the quantum transformation required for that shift to happen. And I think that as a coach and a mentor, it is very interesting to observe it. Whilst also, I'm always looking for my own quantum lift. What is it with that? We're going to have
it's a new. Allow it to come through. Surrender to the new concepts that you're channeling.
I'm always looking for my own quantum shift.
Yeah,
and I think that. Yeah, it's a little bit easy to overlook what is required. And I think that in order for you to really step into it, you have to have a big vision. You have to be very clear on the impact that you desire to make to warrant you being prepared to release the things that are no longer serving you at the new level.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you put the big vision against what you're currently doing, that is where you see that incongruence. You get a stark visual of it. It's like, I'm saying this, but I'm still saying yes to these clients that are nowhere near these clients that I want to serve. And it just becomes, you can feel how out of alignment. Well, I'll own it. I felt how out of alignment it was when you put that to us. And I was like, I can't say yes anymore to certain people or certain projects or certain opportunities because it doesn't align with the new higher vision. And that's something that you've got to keep in mind as you continue to go if you want the sexy version of the quantum leaps and the quantum shifts.
And I think it's not even something that you have to keep in mind. It's something that you have to embody. Because I think that, so first of all, people make the decision, okay, I'm ready. I want to make the leap. I want to make the leap. I want to make the transformation. And then you say, okay, I need you to release X, Y, and Z. Or they say, okay, I need to release X, Y, and Z. And you go, okay, great, release that. And intellectually, they have released it, but physically, they haven't embodied that next level. And so there is literally this argument, internal argument going on with the head saying, the head can either be saying, you've said that you don't want this anymore, you're not doing it, but the body is still acting at that lower level, or vice versa. You've got the head saying it's not safe, and the body going, oh, but I feel really cool. I feel it in my heart. I'm supposed to be over here, but my head's telling me no. And so it's that this is the best way that I've ever had this conversation. So it's really clear what the word alignment means. You have to bring the head and the body, the mind and the soul, the mind and the heart into alignment. And it's when you get that alignment that you can then make the leap.
Yeah. Now would be a good time to ask, I've heard you say no matter how good it is, there's an invitation for you to go deeper.
Yeah.
In what ways in your personal life are you going deeper?
Oh, I mean, for me, probably the biggest area is around sexuality and sensuality. That is where I am going deeper, and knowing that exploration of myself is really important actually for my next level of evolution and expansion, because it's that intimacy piece with yourself and your capacity to allow in pleasure and receiving and all of that good stuff that I know that there is just, there's a depth that I have yet to, fully dive into. And so, yeah, that's a place right now that's big.
Yeah. Yes. That's exciting that you're on the precipice of really tapping into that depth. And what I always loved about working with sensuality and sexuality, and then being asked myself to embody it, is that it's endless. It just can take you on such a journey, and the points that you feel aren't deep enough in retrospect can be incredibly deep. It's just they don't look like a certain, like a certain way, or you don't think it might be as intense as it could have been, but there's just so many pleasant surprises that can happen on that journey. So I love that you said that, because it's missing from a lot of personal growth work and spiritual work and personal development work. Still quite taboo.
I'm curious how much of that part of your body of work do you bring into the work that you do now?
It will always be a thread, and I always want to remain open to including it in this newer body of work, because when you go to the depths of sexuality and you work with someone around their sexuality, it's like it's a domino effect. You see everything else and all the other personal growth work out there goes and everything just kind of clicks into place. So I often shared that with my clients. It's like, you're really brave for doing this. You're being incredibly vulnerable by stepping forward. You doing this is going to make other aspects of the work click into place and be especially potent. So I love it. I value it. I respect it. It's an integral part of my identity is my sensuality and sexuality because it's one of my highest values. And I can't talk to women about their secrets without referencing their eroticism and their fantasies and their inner world and what it is that they desire. And when I use the word desire, that's kind of controversial word in that Letting Go book. It's got a different spin on it. But what is it? I mean it in the most healthiest expression. What is it that they yearn for that they've historically denied themselves?
Yes.
So, and our sexuality is one of the most powerful pieces of ourselves. So, yeah, to answer your question, yes, definitely. It just won't be the centerpiece. Whereas before it was, come and talk to me about your sexuality concerns and I'll help you move through them. Now it's more about, come talk to me about what's concerning you within your personal world, your inner world, your personal realm, what feels unseen, what feels hidden. And an aspect of what we cover will be your sensuality and sexuality. And that feels really good that I can actually be a bit broader than just speaking to the sexuality piece first and foremost.
Well, we're whole beings, aren't we?
Yes.
So it completely makes sense that you get to look at all of those areas where we are not seen and heard.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Suzy, when you're at the level of recognition that you're at and you're being seen as much as you are, I think people tend to assume that they're seeing all of you. Now, you and I are both women that see the unseen. I'm curious, where do you go? What do you do? Or who do you turn to access all the unseen parts of yourself when you are so visible?
Wow. I don't know. In all honesty, I think that where I am right now in my life, and I'm going through a separation with my partner, that's I'm going inwards. I am exploring my own unseen terrain, and I'm getting to know myself more deeply. I'm not really looking externally for people to see me. What I do have is a glorious, glorious network of friends and mentors. And I am, even in this moment, like this week, at point of recording, I'm getting even more tuned in and sensitive to the places that I can go and truly allow myself to express. And so it's really beautiful us having this conversation here, because this is not the normal type of conversation that I would have on a podcast. And it is the type of conversation that I might have with my dear friends or some of my mindset mentors, not strategy people, but people who are not dissimilar to the work that you do, who are there to help me expand. And I really relish the time that I spend with myself, and also knowing that I can pick up a Voxer and I can talk for 3 or 4 minutes about what is on my mind or in my heart, and receive back a transmission from somebody that is so rich and dense in beautiful energy that it doesn't matter what they're saying, my whole self gets to expand just a little bit more. Like, that's the power of the network that I have created. They see, I pick people who are just high level people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the jobs they do or how much money they earn.
No.
I'm talking about their energy. I'm talking about their frequency. I'm talking about their intonations. I'm talking about the way they kind of, that I hear the sing song and I observe the dance with life, and I know that that is fully available to me. And they reflect that they're in my life because they're a reflection of not only me, but also what is possible. And so that continuous expansion and transformation is happening in those spaces where I am just fully allowing myself to lean more deeply into this part of me.
Yeah. Wow. Incredible. Incredible. And from what you've said, I'm taking away that there's, first and foremost, you're looking inward. And then when you need that external support, you're reaching out for that. So it doesn't have to be one or the other. You don't have to choose. You can have both, because we live in an and universe. You can have the self-introspection. You can see the unseen parts of yourself and ask for what you need through your networks and through your connections. Yeah. And the really, really key piece in there was how it's about the energy, and Suzy has chosen those people to be around her. And I just want listeners to know, because I do get messages from women, DMs on Instagram, talking about how lonely women are, how they've got no network of support. And I just want you to know that there is always a network of support out there. You might have to do some investigation, you might have to dig deep, but there are always people out there to meet you and to share that energy exchange with.
Yeah, you might have to pay.
And you might have to pay, yes. Another, yep, you might have to pay for it.
You might have to pay.
Yeah,
and
that's okay.
That's okay. It's really, really okay.
Yeah.
Because depending on where you have grown up, depending on who you work with, depending on where you live right now, your peer group may not be those people, those type of people that are going to allow you the grace to explore yourself, your energy. And they may not be the type of people who, when they speak, you expand. And that's okay. You can wait and intend and, you know, I'm gonna manifest this person into my life, or you can just pay someone who makes you feel good, who makes you feel like that as you consume their content. Like, it's not, that's what I've done. Like, it's not magic. And I said this to clients for years. They're like, how come you've got such a great network? Well, I paid to be in that network. And then I built relationships.
Yeah, most definitely. And the benefit of paying someone is that you can enter into an exchange where you get your needs met and you're feeling centered, and you get to explore what it is that you need to explore with minimal input. It's not what I want to say, but minimal disturbance from, or disruption from, people trying to override with their own story, their own problems, or it's a very clear exchange. And that's what I love about therapeutic processes. And I think we all need that. We all need spaces where our needs are centered and we can be seen and heard, and we need to pay for that, because friends sometimes
100%.
can't do that.
100%. You know, where your friends are human and they've got their own crap going on, and you say one thing, they immediately go, but it wasn't me, and it's like, no, it's not about you, this is about me. Can we bring it back to me again? Can we?
It's much clearer exchange, less likelihood of disappointment. One of my favorite quotes of yours comes from your podcast episode about having it all. You say it's not about having it all, it's about having all of yourself. Now, I know then that just reverberated through my soul when I heard those words through your podcast. Now, I know so many of my listeners and followers and my members in Secret Society are going to get this on a cerebral level. They're going to say, I get it. Yeah, I get it. But potentially struggle to really embody it. When we're inhabiting so many roles and identities, how can we have all of ourselves?
Wow, what a question. I think for me, I notice where I'm not allowing.
Mm-hmm.
I notice when I'm in contraction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing where I am judging desires.
Mm-hmm.
I'm noticing where I'm capping myself, and having all of yourself is that real knowing and embodiment of your limitlessness. And so I don't think that it's something that you wake up and you're like, okay, I'm having all of myself today. But I think that step by step, it's really owning what you are available for.
Yeah.
I am available for high-level clients.
Yeah.
I am available for mind-blowing sex. I am available to be held and supported. And it's really noticing, where am I not acting in alignment with knowing what I'm available for, and changing your behavior.
Mm.
And it's just bit by bit by bit by bit.
Mm. And bringing some of that dialogue that you just shared into the moment where you're tempted to just, using the example of sex, just shut down, just curl up in a ball and, lie in fetal position on the edge of the bed. It's about catching yourself in that moment and saying, wait, am I allowing myself to have mind-blowing sex right now? And so I just wanted to bring it into the very real situations where we just want to default to one of our primal brain fear responses, where we do just want to go into contraction because it's familiar and it's comfortable and it's known. So that's a really beautiful question that listeners can ask themselves when they're in the thick of confronting that choice.
Yeah. And I think that having that bigger picture, even if you don't know what it is that you want to be doing, having that bigger picture of how you desire to feel. How do I want to feel? How am I going to know that I'm on track? Well, I'm going to be feeling this way. And then looking at your behaviors. Is watching 6 hours of Netflix in a day helping me feel this way? No. Okay, I'm going to stop doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I can feel this way, so I can create spaciousness. It's like, I think I just want to invite everybody to come back to, what does limitless feel like for you? When I say it, I feel it in my chest and I see myself just expanding, like right around the world.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that version of me cannot do, be, or have that is in alignment with my soul. No. I'm not going to be going to the moon anytime soon, but that is not my desire or in alignment with myself. That's not what I am supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about limitlessness, from what you've just shared, is that it's an internal state. It's not limitless means I can travel around the world whenever I want to, whenever I say go, because as we've observed, there can be barriers to actually doing that. It's an internal state, and it's all about your energy, and it's all about you allowing yourself to be a truly cosmic being of this universe, rather than one that's relegated to the doing mode, and the doing and the action is important, but from what you're saying, it's internal, which gives you more
100%.
power, which gives you
Absolutely.
all the more
You're in
power.
control.
Can't control the external stuff. Suzy, last big question, and then I've got some quick shoot questions for you. We've talked a lot today about like what women grapple with and what they conceal. What are 3 things that you want women struggling with being their fullest selves to know? And they've already got so many generous ideas from you. Just wondering if there's anything else.
I think that it's safe for you to desire more. It's okay to have a bigger desire than where you are at. That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a selfish person. It doesn't make you a greedy person. It just is. So yeah, it's safe for you to desire more. I really want you to tune into the knowingness of being supported, even if you're a single mom, even if your partner doesn't get it, even if your family have disowned you. I want you to tune into the knowing that you are supported. It's because it changes things.
Amazing.
And I think that the last thing I want people to know is that you're needed. We need you. We need your energy.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
You're valuable and we need you.
Yeah. Yeah. 101% agree. The more I do this work and the more I step into my own ownership, the more I see how different everyone is and how everyone fits into the design, this beautiful circular design, and how all the cogs can just move together with so much flow. And I know a bathroom stall moment or a dark night of the soul will tell you otherwise. It will say, you are alone. This is the way it is. There's no way out. But I want to reassure everyone listening that there is so much space for you, and you do, like Suzy said, you have so much value, and we need you. We need you. And especially the women that are expanding, they're not on their own. What if you could see the networks of women that are supporting the women expanding, then you'd realize that we need everyone, and then you can expand from their expansion. It's just a beautiful web, and I love it. And the older I get, the more, like, the deeper my love and respect and acknowledgement is. Yeah. So thank you, Suzy. Thank you. Beautiful answers. Now, I just have a couple of quick shoot questions for you. Just answer as quick as you can from your beautiful intuitive heart. What's your favorite sensation?
Love.
What's your favorite secret place?
My vagina.
It's my favorite answer so far. I'm not meant to have favorites. What's one secret talent you possess?
I don't really have many I don't think I have any secret talents. I think they're all out there.
They're all out there.
Yeah.
What's your secret pleasure?
Being by myself.
Yeah, love it. Love it. I love it when I see you in a hotel room on your own on Instagram. I'm like, yes, I could just, you so need that. Who's one woman who's really seen you?
My mum.
And what's one-on-one conversation or mingling through a bustling soiree?
One-on-one.
Yes, yes. We're here for the one-on-one and the depth. Thank you so much, Suzy. This has been illuminating, enlightening, deep and loving. And even though it's nighttime here in Australia, I'm on a high. I'm wondering, where can we find you?
The best place to come and play with me is over on Facebook. The Quantum Success Hub for Female Entrepreneurs is where we hang and where we go live every Thursday.
Yes, join that group. It is so value laden, and like Suzy said, it's fun. You just get to play. It's not a bog standard stale Facebook group. It's an actual thriving, alive hive of activity. Thank you so much, Suzy. And Suzy's Instagram is amazing as well, everyone. If you want to follow her, it's Suzy_Ashworth.
Thank you.
Thank you. I hope this episode has contributed to your understanding of your secret self. If you enjoyed it, please share it on Instagram and tag me in so more women can feel seen and understood. And if you want to ensure you're in on all the secret sharing, then subscribe so you don't miss a whisper.